sorry, এটা চলে এসছে। And these, I see here the biography section. Shivaji, this is by Shaktiman Vishwas. Again, this is not obvious from the. So there is Shivaji, there is this, of course, which is again there in this collection. And then enter Mayur Chaudhary, or the man known as Mayur Chaudhary, of course, that was his name used. Now this, I think, predates his most famous work, Aguntuk, which we'll see more of. But you can see here already the signature styles of Mayur Chaudhary, the kind of, sorry, this is twice, the kind of orchestrated violence, almost like a dance, the two encounters, and he was very good with these lines, with showing motion, especially whether he's showing people in conflict or animals in conflict. We'll see more examples of conflict or fighting later, but these motion lines and this sort of bold, really thrilling for us to see. And this encounter between a blind wrestler and a thief. This is, of course, not the original. This is the later colored reprint in the Dev Saitya Kutir collection. But Aguntuk was really kind of the most exciting work of that period. I mean, there are some spoilers here. I'm sorry, those who have not read Aguntuk. It begins thrillingly with a boxing match between Ura, this man with the bandana, but he's there. Yeah, so this is the time of Star Trek. Captain Spock, Leonard Nimoy, but not Wolverine, because he also has retractable nails. His nails come out, and this is much before Wolverine. So you can see here this Ura. This is from actually Shuktara, where he talks about how he's from this formula which is about to be stolen from the Earth scientist Leonard Babu. He's called Upin. Upin, তুমি আমার বাড়িতে গভীর রাতে চোরের মতো ঢুকেছো, তোমার ডাইলোকে খুন করেছো, কেন কুকুরটা তোমার কি ক্ষতি করেছিল? So formula. So you cannot imagine how thrilling this was for us to read. আমি মানুষ নই, of that moment of revelation. আমার নাম উড়া, আমি মঙ্গল গ্রহ থেকে পদার্পণ করেছি, and then this fight between the two Martians break out. The greatest fights in Bengali comic book history. Ura and Mantha going at each other, and you can see here this magnificent kind of close-ups, the mid-shots, the chiaroscuro, the shading. So this was. I'm not showing more of this. I'm sure you can see this. I think this should be translated, perhaps, and anthologized. I know it has been reprinted many times before. Now, we move on to Kishore Bhati. All of this was from Shuktara. Again, in no particular order, we find Toilokanath's Amarucharit, drawn by Shaila Chakraborty over a period of time. We have Fokir Karamati by Bitopal. I now know from these details the real name of Bitopal, Otul Borul Boshu. So you can see Fokir Karamati. Shurcharai anywhere here in this I don't know. This is something which is very interesting. Nontono Gudgutti. Again, if anyone could throw any light on Shurcharai, that would be. So, for example, this story is a two-pager. So. It's about a word, সর্বান্তকরণে। হেড স্যার কথাটা ধরিয়ে সভাপতি হয়ে বসলেন। নতুন বাংলা স্যার, চাই সাহস, চাই দুর্জয়, বানান কর, কিংকর্তব্য বিগুড়, স্যার KING, etc. ডিকশনারি মুখস্থ করবি, হয়। স্যার নেক্সট, much later, then he retires, this person. অবসর নেওয়ার পর বাংলা স্যারের কোনো খবরই তারা নেয়। কে রে? নাম বলছি তোদের, আমি অন্ধতম দেখতে পাচ্ছি তোদের। কিংকর্তব্য বিগুড় ওরা, সুদীরও বলি। সর্বান্তকরণে তাদের আশীর্বাদ করছি। সর্বান্তকরণের কথাটা মনে থাকলে this is Kishore Bharati again. Shurcharai drawing Shamsher Ghazi, Tripura Jillar Biplori. Again, not mainstream narratives of history, of freedom movement, and all of this appearing in Kishore Bharati. During this period, this is there as well, Rajarshi Lal Bahadur Shastri. This I found interesting. The only fan work. He's 15 years old. Grahokir Aka cartoon. Boyosh 15 বছর, সব্যসাচী ব্রহ্ম. This is in জ্যৈষ্ঠ 1376, so it's 1969. So Sabyasachi Brahma would be born in 1954. I sort of looked for him on Facebook yesterday. Any idea who this person could be? So this is one instance of fan art or a Grahoker art, maybe this more in Sandesh. Somebody doing this in 1969, which would be interesting to chase down. I mean, under what sense, were there other artwork by readers, young readers, such as Shobhoshachi Brahmo? Of course, Sufis does not need an introduction. Jatoker Balku, again, interesting use of the way in which the frames are, used, the irregular framing, but at the same time, the regularity of the kind of wavy lines around them. Again, these are very well known. I don't really need to say more about the collaboration between Dilip Kumar Chattopadhyay and Narayan Devnath, except to draw attention to the cinematic protocols, that is to say the title cards, the way in which the credits are surface on the page one after the other, or the long shot and the medium shot of this particular Kamini, Chitranatma Sanglap, Chitrarup Sreshtangshe, এবং Black Diamond, and the kind of really, as you can see, the drawings are very different from what Narayan Devnath did for Hada Bodha and Batur the Great. This allowed him to do a kind of a experiment with a noirish style of drawing. You can see this in Cigars of Pharaoh, for instance, in the later scene where that use of light and shade. This is another very interesting work. This came out in Kishore Bharati, Bishesh Droshtobya by Shubir Rai. Again, I don't know about this particular creator, but what is interesting here is for the first time an urban aesthetic begins to enter the comic book. And in fact, street signage, advertisements, all of these. So for instance, look here, the way in which signs, the streetscape, the trams, the bus station, and on the top left-hand corner there is in fact a little Easter egg in the shape of an advertisement of Sonar Killa, Shanghatik Chobi Satyajit Ray. Then you have Alokita Ghosh, Anandabajar Putrika, etc. So this is a kind of a new way of drawing which you don't see the city becoming part of the comic book. And of course we have this great work, Palabar Patni, which came out in the year of the emergency. And I wonder if Subrata would be able to say why Kishore Bharati wanted this. A very violent work also. I mean, it is about street killing. This was in the year of the emergency. It was in the Puja Shankha, which came out in 1975. And it is a work of considerable violence, killings, retribution, turf warfare. And maybe, and I always wanted to ask him why he chose this storyline, and maybe we can know today what. But it is Kahini, Manashua, Chitrarup, Subrata Gangopadhyay. Maybe we can ask him more about this. But this is an extraordinary drawing, extraordinary scripting. The way in which the irregularity, the jagged edges, you can see how, as a killing takes place, every bit of white space is filled up with text. The panels seem to be sort of jostling each other. There is this, and in the middle of this runs Kazi Nazrul Islam's Bidrohi, Ami Mani na Kokono Ain, Ami Boratori Kori Borarobi, Ami Tuarpido. And as killings takes place, it creates a, well, this was the last one, but if you look at this rest of the story, there are amazing kind of drawings of and writing about the street lamp, which has sort of become red from exhaustion. Hello. There are irregular, non-linear kind of framings which sort of tilt your perspective, looking at streets, looking at terraces, people talking, close-ups, and it's really broken. It created a new kind of language, which unfortunately no one else took up. And I suppose after this, and my theory, whatever it is worth, that this golden age in Bangla comics comes to an end, perhaps because after this, the children's magazines, you all know which, begin to carry translated works. There is very little space for homegrown comics. So it's all Tintin, Roy of Rovers, Tarzan, one or two exceptions, Vimal Dash's Swadashi, but it's all syndicated. So where is the space for the homegrown comic art to flourish? The most popular magazine of that time completely becomes a vehicle for Tintin comics, which of course is great. The Tintin in Bengali becomes a cultural phenomenon.